Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. We've got Insidious to talk about today. We are the Mattitude Eric. I'm Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
We got Roseburn here in Insidious. Hello.
I just came back from a long road trip, and one of the things that we listened to was we just ran through solo Phil Collins, not Genesis. So solo Phil Collins' greatest hits, Studio being one of them.
Oh.
Sorry, it's actually just called Studio, not Susu Studio. But yes, in the song he says Susu Studio. Leave out one of the Su's for the title. It's a banger. Okay,
It
also a
is.
nonsense word. Unlike Insidious, which I was very happy to hear Lin Shaye actually say, and I got to point to the screen, Leo DiCaprio meme style, and said, "Hey, she said Insidious."
I assume, I don't know, is that, because you'll hear these stories about when they settle on a title and then or like, we have to get the character to say it at some point in the movie. So I am curious, like, was that line always in there because they always knew it'd be called Insidious? Or was that like, oh, we've settled on the title, Leigh, write a line where she says Insidious?
Yeah, I don't know how that worked. Obsession seemed more like easy to go to as far as like a title for a movie. Insidious, like this movie could have had several names. Obsession really fits. I bring up Obsession because we're in this big horror moment, low budget horror moment now, where both of these new movies are clocking to make what 200 million now. They're both Backrooms and
I
Obsession
mean,
are
people think Obsession might end up with like 400 million worldwide. It's
yeah.
it's
And
gnarly.
well, my point is like, and it's good. It's interesting that we're starting this franchise right now because this was a $1.5 million budgeted movie that took 20 days to shoot, and I think it was a much more involved, crazy shoot than even Obsession, which feels like that still feels like a short time for Obsession. And it made 100 million. Now, again, not as much as Obsession is going to make, but it's one of those. Um, Basically, James Wan and Leigh Whannell went back to formula with this. It's like, hey, let's do micro budgeted movie like we did with our first Saw movie, and then it's gonna like this is the way to go. This is the way. Also, James Wan apparently wanted to prove to others that he could make a scary movie without torture pornish elements, even though that's not what the first Saw movie was. He wanted to be like, I can scare you without gore, and that was sort of a challenge for himself with this seemingly haunted house movie that turns out to be a haunted child movie.
Hmm.
But yeah, always impressive to see something look and work really well on a very small budget and a very short time constraint for production. You know,
Yeah. I think people forget that this was an indie movie because now the franchise, I believe Sony now outright owns it all or like controls it all, including the first couple. But the first couple, yeah, I mean, the first movie was a complete independent movie. I think it screened at TIFF, similar to Obsession, but a lot of movies like this where it screens at Film Fest and then it gets a distributor, and the distributor film district doesn't even exist anymore. They kind of got absorbed into Focus. But yeah, this first movie was an indie, and when you look back on it, it wasn't until this rewatch and then looking it up, I thought, oh, this movie is actually more important than, it's like, hey, it's the first of it's a long running franchise. The sixth one's coming out this summer, so it's obviously a success. But yeah, for James Wan and Leigh Whannell, this was kind of their comeback movie because their two follow-ups to Saw were not very successful.
was
Um,
was because Dead Silence came out, and I remember I feel like that movie came out around the time that I was actually a manager at a movie theater. I feel like that coincided with that. And then they did the Kevin Bacon revenge movie, but was that Leigh Whannell or was that just James
Oh,
Wan?
that might have
Anyway,
just. I'm looking up. It was just James Wan. But yeah, I guess you know what I should say. Really, it's to come back for James Wan because Lee Wanell wrote Saw 2 and 3, so he was still attached
I
more
mean, this whole
directly.
time,
Yeah,
it's more direct, and but both of them are still producers on Saw. No one's going
but they're
hungry, but
producer.
like
They're producers in name only, but they're making money, right?
that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
nobody's starving here, but creatively, it's interesting to see. Yeah, this was just 2010, and it was only two movies in, but then looking at Juan's filmography leading out of this, it's really interesting because it's like then like right into like Conjuring. I didn't even realize because again, The Conjuring is also I have seen the first Conjuring, unlike the Insidious franchise, but like I didn't realize that Annabelle was the actual first film after Conjuring and not Conjuring 2 or something like that. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
went right out of the gate with Annabelle. But then it was Fast 7, right? And then like that's the highest grossing movie James Wan's ever done. It
Well,
was
I
like
mean,
it
yeah.
was like it was like it was like Conjuring 2 and Fast 7 in the same year. Anyway, interesting career for
I
this
mean,
guy.
he's had $2 billion grossing movies
Well,
though.
then Aquaman, but yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to see Patrick Wilson getting his start as a James Wan player in this movie, right?
Right.
Where
This is first of 6 movies they've made together. I think people undervalue that as a actor-director relationship since they've worked together so much. Um, but yeah, also this movie is notable because Jason Blum produces it, and it's really only his second big horror hit after Paranormal Activity. So it's like this is Jason Blum who hasn't established his brand. There's no Blumhouse logo at the top of this movie yet. Uh, and a couple things are that, first off, it's going to really help establish him. And I mean, the trail, the ads for this movie were from the producers of Paranormal Activity because we're coming off that being a breakout. And so it's like it's going to help establish Jason Blum as like, he's going to keep making horror hits as a producer, but also the long-term relationship between Jason Blum and James Wan, who have now merged their companies
with
with
Atomic Monster and Blumhouse, yeah.
yeah. And so the fact that this is where that relationship began. It's funny because I saw some people the Blumhouse Twitter account has always been like a cool one as far as it will mention other horror movies, like not Blumhouse horror movies. Like it's very like, what are your favorite whatevers? And it'll show characters that aren't theirs. But people it was funny because that last weekend when Backrooms opened at number 1 and Obsession was having its amazing third weekend where it kept going up, there was so much. They were doing so many tweets that were touting both movies, and people didn't understand they had a stake in both movies because its Atomic Monster is Backrooms. So this is a win-win for these guys. It's like they are a merged company and they have the two biggest sensations of the summer.
It's
Everything's coming up. Jason and James is what
I just think it's really interesting that some really great indie low budgeted horror movies stumble into massive success, and then man, you're in the system now. Welcome to the franchise, which is like Weapons and Backrooms and Obsession and Talk to Me, which is like, where's the next one, right? Like it's not, where's the sequel and or prequel or spinoff or something that we can fucking market to this movie? Like Talk to Me will be about the hand, and Obsession will probably could be another One Wish Willow story or whatever, right?
Sure.
But like, man, it would be great if you could just like leave these alone. Like, don't need the fucking Weapons prequel. Don't need more Backroom. I hope it's called More Backrooms, honestly.
Another Backroom.
But it is funny when like, well thoughtful art horror with social commentaries and psychological underpinnings like meets the franchise. It's like, welcome to fucking Friday the 13th, The New Blood, right? Like it's like you're gonna make 7 of these shits. Now I can't speak to Insidious because I haven't seen the other movies, if it's like the quality maintains and it's like if some things become unnecessary. But again, Insidious to me could have just worked as a one and done as well, right? Like
of course. I mean that the ending is a classic horror ending in that sure you could do a sequel, but it can also just be a Tales from the Crypt, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, here's your final little horror
It's
beat.
interesting to me that The Conjuring of all of these is the one that's set up to most be an ongoing thing because it's the Warrens, right? Which is like, and you could just make believe that the shit they were doing was real.
The case
and
files.
Just they have the Kales, and that the next movie wasn't even about them when it's the most natural sequel set up at all, and it's about the fucking doll. But
they got 4 movies.
They did. The
other thing I wanted to mention though about behind the scenes of this just was interesting to me was I forgot that Oren Peli is also a producer on this alongside Blum, only because so he's the director of Paranormal Activity and only directed the first one, but then produced them all with Jason Blum. And I forgot that he also produced the Insidious franchise, which makes me wonder, I'm making it sound dramatic. Did he and Blum have a falling out? But it's just funny that like, they obviously followed Paranormal Activity. Like, let's produce something else together. But I don't think they produced anything besides the Insidious movies and the Paranormal movies because both continued together after this. This was the moment where, and that's why the posters could say from the creators or producers of Paranormal Activity because it was both of them. But Oren Peli was having a big moment here as well, coming off of Paranormal Activity.
So I mentioned this previous leading up to this. I haven't seen any of these movies, though I did go to the Scare Zone for what was it? The Red Door? Was that what the Scare Zone was at Halloween Horror Nights?
Yes, although it pulled from some of the other movies as well.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
thing was, is like when we get to the little demon, smoky demon realm in this movie, I was like, I've been here. Like,
Yes, yes.
I know this place. Oh, hello, old friend. And then remembering Eric, like as I go through the scare rooms, it's like, forget everything after you come out of here, so you can watch the movie.
uh,
Um,
Although
but
I was saying to Trish last night, watch because she wasn't she's seen the movie, but so she wasn't watching, but she was walking by as I was watching, and I said to her, these movies really are tailor made for horror nights. Like, even just watching the first one, it's like, the way it works that there are multiple creepies, like,
yeah,
the multiple different things. There's even the part where they open the door and they're all together, which is like a very horror nights thing where they have like usually like an actual like sort of fixed statue of a bunch of characters that can jump out together. I was like, oh, this is made for horror nights. This
Eric, I'm
franchise.
going to pitch you on a horror anthology show, and it's sort of like a shortcuts deal. And there's actually nothing to do with Insidious except that we were just talking about obsession. But there was something online where someone was leaving leaving a voicemail or calling the cops, or it's like, "Hey man, everyone at the Guitar Center I like to go to just died." Talking about obsession, right? So it's sort of like the fun aftermath of all of these horror movies. I feel like there should be like a Damage Control style series where it's just like you get 10 minutes of aftermath of like what the fuck happened.
Absolutely. All
Yeah,
right.
like
Spoilers for Obsession, guys. But I will say I had the same thought, and the other thought I had is, how crazy it would be when word spread at trivia night what happened to that team. You know? Like because I think they make a quick mention of some team they hate or something at the beginning, so it's like their rival team, like where are they? It's like
oh, I hate them, those non-obsessives. The and I think I mentioned this when we did Halloween Ends, is that I thought when that movie started, that's what the movie was going to be. It was going to be like Short Tales of Haddonfield
yes.
following the Michael Myers rampage. Anyway,
I think I mentioned that my brother made that assumption with Scream after the Drew Barrymore death. He was like, "Oh, is this going to be like we
I could
watch
see
these?
that.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, like
Yeah. Just
these
watch
little."
famous women die.
That's exactly what it's going to be. I also now we're super jumping around, but that's okay. As we will shift into the movie here, I just want to say that it was very funny to me that they make such a weird thing of like Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne of like that they're getting older. Like I wish I was 20, and Patrick Wilson's pulling a gray hair, and I was like, Patrick Wilson was like 36 when this movie
No,
came
I
out.
know. And by the way, he still looks amazing. He's like 50 and like or whatever. Saying my point is like, yeah, fucking like these old hideous fucking dirt bags. Like they've got this gross old elderly couple. Anyway, let me tell you what I knew about this movie. Because obviously I'm going to know things via pop culture osmosis throughout the years of this movie. One is I knew it was like I remember as soon as the moment happened in the movie, I was like, oh, that was in the trailer, which is like your house isn't haunted, your son is, or whatever. Like,
Oh, that was in the trailer. I don't remember
yeah.
that.
It was I knew it was a haunted boy movie, right?
Okay.
And then before she even says that is the moment when they actually fucking move, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna follow them. And I also wondered if that's why Barbara Hershey was in this movie. Your favorite, I saw this movie too young, the Entity star, Barbara Hershey,
Yes.
where it's famously playing a woman whose violent entity follows her and not like it's not stuck to a location. The other thing I knew is the picture of Patrick Wilson with the fucking boogeyman behind him,
Which
like
is
the
very
big jump
memed.
scare. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
You can't not see that, right?
mhm.
Like
Yeah. I mean,
even when even when I was making a collage for this movie for like the Apple Podcast thumbnail, whatever, and like you just pull up Insidious movie 2010, and that's the majority of the photos is that picture.
yeah, it'll go viral every few months with me and blah blah blah, whatever people will make meme behind it.
And I knew Patrick Wilson was in it. I knew Rose Byrne. I don't think I knew that Ty Simpkins was the kid, the
Ah,
Iron Man 3 kid. Even though he's so sleepy for most of this movie.
but
And
he's the poster. I mean, he.
yeah, no, yeah. And then I knew Lynn Shay was in this movie, and then I know that she becomes an important character going forward in the franchise. And and not that she wasn't important in this movie, but that made the ending of this movie more surprising to me. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting twist for Matt, just knowing that she shows up again. But yeah, I knew. So those were sort of the things I knew. What I'm trying to think if there was anything else I didn't know. One of the things that I thought was interesting about this is that this is almost a X-Men mutant origin story adjacent in like, Eric, this is what happened to Alana, right? Like this is like you discover you have powers and don't know how to use them, and then you wind up in fucking hell, which is like accidentally, right? Like I'm tracking trapped with demons, and I didn't mean to be, but that's because nobody warned me about latent mutant abilities. And so that was the interesting part. And I like the twist of they set it up. You know, you can sort of see it coming, but it's like obviously the dad's going to have something to do with this. He doesn't remember his childhood. There's no pictures of him. The mom, like Elise is like, you've grown since I last saw you. Like we know it's all coming down to the dad having this ability, and that's why the son has it. My question is the stepping back, stupid fridge logic question of this movie, which is like, why did no one tell him about this when he had a kid? You know what I mean? But then even if you like talk to the mom or Elise and like, why didn't you tell Josh about this incident and your powers earlier? Okay, that's fine. You didn't, he has two sons and you don't tell him about this. But then once this shit starts happening and we get into like, Elise is over, they're taking photographs, we do the seance. Like there are so many things they should have told him before it even gets to the point where they tell him. So it just felt more like
they tell
the
him
movie needed to reveal it at this point when logically they should have just told him when fucking Elise came over in the first place and he kicks her out.
Well,
you know, like
honestly, you'd think it'd be before that because we don't meet Barbara Hershey till quite a ways in.
yeah,
But clearly they'd be telling, his mom, crazy shit's happening. Well, first of all, son's in a coma, hearing weird shit.
No, as soon as all this stuff happens, I'm saying that there were points before the movie that they should have told him and points during the movie before when they told him they should have told him. So, and then I'm also curious about some of the texturing of the movie itself because it set me up for things that I was looking for that didn't matter, which was why is she into music and piano? Why is her job like writing songs or she's like a book about music for therapy healing? And I thought that might come into play because it seemed like important at first because she's looking for her sheet music and the demons hid it in the attic. I wouldn't know. Anyway, also, were they having problems or was something going on in a previous house? Because she said, I just don't want things to be the same as they were in the other house. And he said, I promise they won't be. Now, that's probably speaking to their relationship of some sort, but we never get into that, right? Like, we don't get into if they were having marital problems or something like that. I don't know.
Or we don't know. Like, we can only extrapolate. Like, since Dalton was, presumably Dalton was always astral projecting without knowing it. This is the movie's events or when it's going to escalate. But was it already beginning? Was there already some strangeness happening in the last house that looking back, they can now say was connected to that?
The other thing I wanted to bring up, which just seemed a weird, and again, and it's nothing bad. It's just we're talking about creative choices here. Now, in the latest Scream movie, Sydney has two younger children who have to be away for this movie to work.
Right.
And that's because they had set it up in a previous movie, not thinking that this would ever happen, this type of movie would ever sort of happen, right? And they had to deal with that. Here, they make the conscious choice of having, okay, you have Dalton, this kid who's everything's going to center around, but he also has a brother and an infant like sister.
Mm-hmm.
And only so that they can be with the mom in the third act, like, oh, they're staying somewhere else. So it's always interesting. I'm like, why was the choice made to have they could have just had the one kid, Eric, right? Like what? I guess that there's a lot of stuff with the baby monitor.
I was going to say, I think the baby monitor is always such a good source of horror. It also seems to be a pretty direct homage to Black Christmas. What you actually hear on the baby monitor, like that voice,
how it's talking. That's right. I wasn't even thinking of that. Good. Yeah.
And so I think that's probably why the baby is there.
I'm just saying, for a $1.5 million movie with a strict time budget, the less little children to work with and babies to wrangle, maybe the better. But anyway, it doesn't take away from the movie. I was just curious. Yeah, this is just information. It's not like I'm not saying things in a critical manner.
You are no, you can be critical.
A huge no, I'm just saying that like I get interested about, especially when your cost cutting efforts are involved
Right,
here.
right.
And
And a
just to
baby
speak,
is a complicated thing to have on
yeah,
set.
a
Yeah,
baby
yeah.
is a complicated thing, not just on a movie set, but in
Yeah.
real life. Uh,
If you say so.
yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Ty Simpkins, franchise player, MCU, Jurassic, but the Insidious is his first.
mm,
And it's funny that we just this is our second Ty Simpkins movie this year because mentioned in War of the Worlds, he's a tiny little tyke when they're all walking to the ferry. There's like a quick shot of Ty Simpkins. So
is he doing anything in his older young years?
I forgot he was in The Whale because I recently
I did
re-saw
not
some
see
of
the
The Whale.
whale. I did
Oh,
not
he
see it.
plays like a religious, like door to door.
Is he Whale Junior?
No, he and Sadie Sink have an interesting relationship in that movie. And so yeah, he's Tyson. He's doing fine.
I worry about Ty Simpkins. Oh, okay.
Oh wait, wasn't he? And he was dating someone who. God, now it's gonna kill me. Uh, there's someone who.
Well, his wiki page does not have a personal life section, so I cannot tell you who
I
he's dating.
feel like there was someone he was dating that's like notable recently, but now I can't figure it out.
Madonna,
No, whatever.
Nicole Kidman,
No, no,
Lin
no.
Shay. Who's he dating?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Good.
And everyone's cool with it.
Yeah, that's fine. Look,
uh
he's an old soul.
Rose Byrne, who, Matt and I are both big fans of. And this would be, I'm trying to think about for Rose Byrne,
and only us.
only us. So this is a year before, she would be in an X-Men movie. But Damages had already happened by this point. She was in the middle of Damages when she made this movie.
But also,
So
she had just showed us, even before Bridesmaids, that she could be very funny in the same year, Get Him to the Greek.
yes,
Yes.
she's about to really turn into like shockingly funny. I shouldn't say shockingly. It just wasn't something she presented that we would think was in her wheelhouse because of her early roles being very serious ones. How goddamn
We're always surprised when somebody who's done a bunch of drama does comedy and does it well, like a John Hamm, right?
yeah.
And we're also surprised when somebody does a lot of comedy who does drama and is very good. We're even more surprised when these people are very hot. So it's like a John Hamm or a Rose Byrne or
And
something
we're
like
the
that.
most surprised when they're Australian.
When they're most surprised is when they come from down under.
Right. But I guess this is really the kickoff of her being more of a movie star, even though, she'd been in 28 Weeks Later and Sunshine. One of those movies barely got released. 28 Weeks Later was a hit, but it wasn't like built on her back hit. So she was like, TV's Damages star at this point. And but because Get Into the Greek and this movie both come out the same year, I feel like, and Bridesmaid is that around the corner. So she's really going to kind of sort of take off with a bigger movie career in the decade that begins as Insidious is coming out.
It's also interesting to me that they chose to make his job a teacher because a couple things. One, maybe it's purposely done because it makes his I gotta stay late till 10:30 at work. Even I gotta grade these papers, these fucking like middle school papers. My God, nothing I could do at home.
And he
I
has
have
to
to sit at my desk and grade these papers.
And he has to deal with his troublemaking student James Wan. If you caught that Easter egg.
No, was that like the paper he was grading?
No, on the first shot of him in the classroom as the kids are leaving, the blackboard does something that's kind of a dick move, which is it says detention, and it lists like 7 names of kids who, first of all, I want to know what happened. Was there one event?
And he did it like Jericho. He's like, you're going on the list.
So there's like 7 names, and maybe they're all Easter eggs, who knows, like crew people, but one of them is James Wan ×2 and underlined, as in like, this kid's a real fuck up.
Well, he's a bad seed.
Yeah.
So one, it was very funny when he's like, I got to stay late because I would immediately, even if I was like Renee, the wife, I would be like, she's very much like, until it gets excessive, she's like, oh, okay. But I would be like, why? Like right out of the gate. Like, why you in this weird suburban, wait, was it LA somewhere? Where were they?
No, they don't. They never say. It's just like
they're in the same city as Saw. it's just like I gotta stay late. The first time it's like a PTA thing, but the second part of this equation is that now I'm just worried they have no money because it's a fucking teacher and they got to move, and I'm like, it's so expensive. Like, and she's not working right now, and they have 3 kids, and I'm like, oh my god. I hope the mom's helping out. Anyway, so it
Well,
just gave like added weird money anxiety to the movie. I'm like, oh my god, he makes a teacher's salary and he has to deal with demons. This is awful.
I mean, we do get the thing of like, yeah, because we see him make that, call her with his bullshit, about having to stay late. But then when he gets home, she says it's been this never happens, but now you're
Right.
doing this all week. So, I mean, it wasn't working.
Like, and what is this health insurance like with like they have like the, their kids in a coma and they have like an at-home nurse and everything, like anyway, like I was just like, how are they managing this? This is terrible. Um,
Well, maybe Barbara Hershey's character is like just
I
fucking
would hope so. She's,
loaded.
Barbara Hershey has always looked like a rich bitch, so it works.
There you go.
And then we've got okay, so the pacing of the movie is good. Like I like how it starts. I like the idea of the misdirecting of we don't know the kid if staring into the blackness is a big part of like, oh, he saw a demon, in the attic. That also has a furnace in the attic.
That was weird to me. Yeah.
Seems more dangerous to me than the actual demon being up there. I was like, this is a fire hazard. And
This house is not well designed.
but and it's one of those things where we don't know what's going on, and they naturally assume it's because he bumped his head. They set you up with the ladder rung being broken. But he's not in a coma. He's elsewhere and he's flying around. And if anywhere in these 3 or 4 months they just looked at his fucking wall and saw that he's floating in his dreams, they'd probably figure it out. But yeah, so then we get the other ghost. So there's, I don't know, they don't name the big thing about this movie is they don't name this red-faced demon guy.
You mean the man? You mean the man with the fire in his face, according to the Insidious wiki?
Is that just what he's called? Is he never named? Because even in Sinister, they're like, "Oh, it's Bagugu,"
and the red faced demon or the man with the fire in his face. So we don't get like it's Johnny.
What is he doing in his workshop? Is he typing? Was he sharpening?
No, he's sharpening his claws. Yeah.
That's fun. And why does he listen to Tiny Tim? I mean, it's a creepy song, but
look, and I'm assuming another thing you knew about this movie was the Tiny Tim song, even if you didn't realize it was him.
I don't think I knew the song separate from this movie. So
you did. Oh,
okay. Absolutely. I know who Tiny fucking Tim is.
I knew who Tiny Tim is, but I couldn't have named you a Tiny Tim song.
That was the song to name from Tiny Tim. It was that song. So yeah.
Interesting.
And he looks like a demon himself. They could have, honestly, they should have called this demon Tiny Tim. But yeah.
Tiny Tim, for those who don't know, I mean, as a kid, growing up, because he died in 96, he died at only 64. But I didn't really understand, I didn't get Tiny Tim. I still don't get Tiny Tim because he would be someone who just pop up on TV as like a novelty act. And what's the instrument he plays? The little
he's a ukulele.
Yeah,
right?
ukulele. Yeah. And he had this falsetto voice and he had this weird look. And so he was just this strange, like he was one of these people like Rip Torn, not Rip Torn, who's the guy I'm thinking of? The confetti thrower. The talking about
Rip Taylor.
Taylor. Yes.
You got the wrong Rip.
I know I was wrong. There was these people that were like,
I'm just trying to tell you were halfway right.
I was halfway right. Fantasy Squares. I'm getting everything wrong. Hollywood Squares. There was these people that were like known for being weirdos. But Tiny Tim, it is interesting to me to see like that song again, which I was not familiar with. Is from the 60s. I mean, it's a cover too of a 1929.
It's a cover of a Busby Berkeley song because it's from Gold Diggers of Broadway, right? Like
yes. So that
it's from Gold Diggers, which was a play, but Busby Berkeley did the Gold Diggers of that's different. That was a musical, which these like we're in the money, that song. Anyway,
yeah, we're getting all our facts half right.
That's right.
But yeah, that song, it's a great, whether you knew before or didn't, it was a great use in this movie. And it is funny because I don't think it's a spoiler, Matt, for me to say you're going to hear that song again because they play it every time in Cities and Horror Nights. It's become, it's one of those songs like Red Right Hand, a song that predates the movie, but then becomes the movie's theme, like becomes like part of the movie. It is funny, yes, that here it's like this fucking demon from hell, this Darth Maul looking demon. This is his jam, is Tiny Tim.
So as we are all sitting here fractionally correct about things,
Mm-hmm.
yes, Gold Diggers of 1933 was a Busby Berkeley musical based on The Gold Diggers, which was a play by Avery Hopwood, where Tiptoe Through the Tulips originated. Anyway, there you go. Ding dong. But yes, Tiny Tim, and the other part of it was like he was 6'8". Like he was odd looking, and he was massive, and he'd appear on Laugh-In and
And he'd
shit like
have
that.
long, weird long hair. He just, yeah, he was an odd looking dude. He was a character. And yeah, he had a
Yeah, I like that
strange.
you're like, I don't get him. I'm like, Eric, I don't get 6'7". We just live in these worlds where we just live in a mysterious cryptid filled world.
Well, I hope he would be happy to know that his song has this strange second life, has, a very omnipresent part of a popular horror
I
franchise.
assume his family is happy because they're
Yes,
collecting a few ducats for it. But yeah,
yes.
and then we've got in the middle of this. Oh, and there was another part of the movie that didn't lead anywhere, which was just sort of like Renee reaching out for help because she's at her wit's end. Um, the 3 months. Okay, sidebar to that. 3 months later actually made me laugh a little bit, which is like it's like I almost feel like the doctor should have said like patients like these usually wake up in a few days. 3 months later, it would have been funnier if it was the SpongeBob fucking like Jacques Cousteau fish. 3 months later.
Which yeah, it was funny, but I also get it because they wanted to skip a couple extra scenes in the hospital. We've done all we can for him. Can we take him home? This that. Did you see Lee Cronin's The Mummy?
No.
Um, I don't think it's a plot spoiler to just say that like the beginning of that movie, because the only place it crosses over with this movie as far as like there's something wrong with our kid
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna take the kid home. It's just that in Lee Cronin's The Mummy, you don't believe for a second they would say take this kid home.
Yeah,
Like
because it's like you would believe the doctors are probably like, well, your kid's a mummy.
yeah, there is some
Have you seen your
severely
kid? Your kid does not look
severely
well.
yeah, this is not someone who should be just laying in your house
Your
versus
kid
this.
is a human embodiment of a jump scare. You probably should not take them home.
Yes, whereas this I did buy that they're like he's comatose, but you can basically do the basic care. They do the scene where like the person's going over how they care for him. So I bought it more in this movie.
But
That basically.
so getting to the original point is the original distracting element here was when she's meeting with this priest who she says is a childhood friend or something, and then
Mhm.
we never see him again. And it was just sort of like, all right, I get that she's looking for something, but it would I don't know. I was expecting him to return at one point for one scene or something. Even
Hey,
if he just knocks on the door and gets immediately killed, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm back."
hey, there's 5 more of these. Who knows?
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but I also am okay with it just as far as like the fact that she's the one actively looking at his stuff. The movie is interesting perspective wise because we follow more of her in the first half, and then it's going to shift because once he learns and we are confirmed that this goes back to his childhood, then it's going to be like he's going to be the one who goes into the further, and it's like going to kind of get the big third act will like follow him more than her. So it is funny that it's like she kind of takes a little bit more of a backseat after leading more of the first half of the film.
There is a let's go through sort of traditional ghost story haunted house beats that the movie plays with that are easy earlier on, which is like voices, someone moving behind you, the doors open, the books are off the shelf, the box of sheet music's in the attic, things moving around, things that you just associate normally with a ghost story. And then things escalate to a certain point where we see like, there's someone in the room and someone pacing around. And I enjoy the fact that we don't really get the full backstory of all these different tortured souls in the further, where we don't know the story. Like we kind of get the story of the woman who murdered the family on the couch, and she's the creepiest of them all. We don't know the guy with the long hair who like tries to lick her face. We don't know what his deal is, or the kid who pops out of the cabinet, who loves that Tiny Tim song, by the way.
Yeah, and we get these little vignettes because we get the lady at the ironing board who apparently murdered three people on the couch.
I thought she was now that no. She was ironing and like he goes up to her and she blinks, right?
Yes.
She's on the couch, the three of them, and that extra
Oh, you're
super
right.
smiley woman kills them.
You're
Like
right. You're
the
right.
main creepy woman.
Right. And is that actually what happened in real life? You know, I do enjoy the idea of like ghost stories where it's like they're reenacting, like
Yeah, they're stuck in the loop.
they're stuck
Yeah.
in a loop. I mean, this movie is like first, you know, obviously, let's address Poltergeist is obviously a huge influence on this movie. So happy suburban family, something's going to happen to one of the kids. We're going to call in an
Mm.
expert. Uh,
Absolutely. You have to go in and get them, right? Like
yes,
you have to
yes.
take them out of this other dimension. Sure.
And
Yeah.
again, I don't think James Wan and Leigh Whannell would say no, it wasn't at all because like the Black Christmas thing, it's just the thing in horror. Like, oh, this is what we're doing in. You know, I just saw Hokum where the director's like, I'm doing a thing on The Shining, which is why it's about a writer going to a hotel. You know,
Right.
it's like that. You know, in horror, I think it's more understood that you're doing like kind of your own like takes on things you love. And it doesn't get like, you know, people as angry as some other genres. But yeah, so it's like Poltergeist seems to be a little bit of the spine, but it's a classic haunted house. I know it's not really a haunted house movie, but you know, using the trappings of it's not played campy, but I think it's played not even self-aware seems to be saying too much. But the fact that the score is like leaning into like even the way that the opening happens, the swooping through what turns out to be Patrick Wilson as a kid, but like swooping through that room up to the old woman, the creepy old woman with the veil, and like the huge on Insidious, which is kind of Evil Dead style, which also is kind of leaning into like we're telling a ghost story, you know, a spooky story. You know, it is kind of embracing that, you know, sort of classic trappings of it all.
Um, yeah. Yeah, that was disgusting. Is one of the best things though to me about this movie was I knew some of the things like I talked about going in, very cursory knowledge about the movie. And then I was able to pick up where it's like, okay, the dad probably has powers, something's going on about his childhood. But the cool thing is I didn't get was because by the time it happened again, I forgot it, is the opening of the movie before Insidious lands is his childhood.
Yeah.
Is that woman who shows up. I completely forgot about her because I just figured because we'd seen so many other random ghosts at this point, I just thought, oh, it's another fucking ghost from the place, right? And then when he closes his eyes, he seems to be dreaming. But again, I was sort of mistook it for Ty Simpkins, and I'm like, oh, he's able to do something, but I didn't tie it to his childhood, and then that was his parasitic demon woman we don't know anything about. Again, like no backstories are given about. Like no one opens a tome and shows you the picture of the man with the fire on his face, right? And says, "Oh, it's this dude," and they don't tell you who the woman is, which I, mean, I don't know makes it cooler. Like just as like this is your own personal demon, which is my favorite Depeche Mode B-side.
And these all look great in a Horror Nights house. Repeat
Yes,
multiple times.
think of the scare actors who get to dress up and pop out at people. But yeah, I like that. Like, oh, that was the father's dream or his astral projection, et cetera, et cetera. But it does fall into the trap again. Not a criticism. This is a really well done small movie. Of they mention like, yeah, there's no pictures of your dad, and it's a weird thing, huh? It is a weird thing, but it's weirder. So it's something that the wife has come to accept, and she tells her son about it. And I like the matching jammies with the monkey and the bananas and stuff like that. But it's a weirder thing for Patrick Wilson's Josh to go around life being like, yeah, there are no pictures of me as a kid, whatever. Like where he would absolutely have a massive gap in his childhood memories that he seems uninterested in exploring.
Yeah.
And you could say that, well, he forgot about it. That's why he doesn't get it, except that he would be constantly reminded about it because there are no photos of him. So it's like there's this reminder that was like every so often it's going to come up to needle him and be like, hey, by the way. So it's just the movie thing of characters not reacting or conversing the way you would in real life. And it's just one of the things that happens.
Well,
I watched the new Jennifer Lopez Brett Goldstein rom-com, the Office Romance on Netflix, and they're like in a relationship. They're going at it hot and heavy. I don't know. I feel like it's like a month or a month and a half, or I don't know. They're seeing each other a while, and then we get to the moment where they're like, "So you've been married before?" I'm like, "Excuse me."
right.
This is like something you talk about pretty soon. Like this is not something that waits. So it's just that thing where it's like, oh. it's weird that that takes me out a little bit because I'm like,
Well,
someone would have talked about this.
it's one of those things where the minutia you can get, yeah, because they do have the line about this is why you don't like your picture being taken, like that. It's like he not only does he not remember it, but that the one thing that he does say is I don't like my picture being taken, which would account for the fact that like in general. Like not being pictures of him, but because you live your life and you have to like wedding pictures, there are times where you will have your picture taken. It's like you can get, tripped up being like, well, okay, but sometimes you get your picture. Driver's license,
Yeah,
you know?
to be fair, well, his driver's license. So if you looked at that, it's just it's the woman. Yeah. I will say that this was also right before everyone had a smartphone. So it's not as like he's still living in a world where no one's just taking pictures constantly on their phone.
Filmed in 2009, iPhones existed, but yeah, they weren't omnipresent. So okay, it wasn't quite everyone at this point.
I'll tell you, let's start getting into minutia of this movie. My favorite childhood game is whatever Ty Simpkins was doing. Sharky Swordy, like whatever. He had a giant shark and he had a sword and he's just smashing them together. And they're like bedtime. And
I thought that was kind of cool.
I think it's too, because I'm just like, I imagine on set, they're like, all right, fucking, he's like telling little Ty Simpkins, like, here, just fucking do something with these guys.
I also appreciated that they could get around copyright in a realistic way because he's wearing a blue t-shirt and a red sheet as a cape to clearly be like, I'm Superman, but he doesn't actually have to have a licensed Superman costume.
I like there was a little thread of that was interesting because when she's showing him the photo album and she's like, well, you're the superhero. And then he's like doing that. And you just think it's because he likes to play superhero and maybe he's pretending to be Superman. But then it's like, when you see the pictures he's drawing of him flying, again, like astral projecting out of the house, he's drawn himself like a superhero flying. I thought that was a really good little connecting part.
Yeah.
Where it helps explain like the big reveal.
Let's see. I thought it was funny when they go to the hospital after he falls into the coma because for that one scene, it's in like Saw vision, which is to say there's like a sickly green to like that scene, the way it's shot and the way it looks. It's like suddenly.
Do you feel like John Kramer is getting misdiagnosed next door by Logan?
Yeah, I think that hospital,
like Logan's next door mislabeling his CT scan.
Yes, that hospital is downtown in Saw City. That's where they took him for that.
Which is also, as I think we established in our Saw run, is also Police Academy City.
Yes, and Seven City. It's all one shared. It's like Shermer in the John Hughes movies. I probably made that same joke, but
yeah. Well, you know what? It was still. I mean, we did the Saw movies years ago, so
sure. I thought it was funny that dumb things to observe, but that Barbara Hershey's character is named Lorraine, just because that's not a very common name, and it will end up being the lead character in the Conjuring movies. Because she's based on a real person, but it is funny that James Wan would direct.
Maybe he was on his brain like he's going to do it, and he was like, "Hey, I'm circling this fucking Lorraine Warren movie, right?" And Lorraine Warren. Well, the other thing is like Lorraine Warren was alive when they were doing these movies, and so they went to meet, like Vera Farmiga went to meet with her, and I think Patrick Wilson too. They before the movie came out, and I'm assuming they walked away saying, "Oh, this woman's fucking a groomer piece of shit, a con artist, and not like anything was real." But anyway, yeah, the Warrens were terrible. But I'm glad we have these movies to entertain.
and they said, but I also think that this could be a crazy successful franchise.
It's like I see dollar signs. Sure.
Dalton, by the way, is there's only one other fictional character I think of.
Roadhouse.
Yeah. That definitely stood out to me. I wouldn't be shocked if Leigh Whannell, that was in the back of his mind as well.
I don't know. It's interesting. The kids' names are interesting because the brother was Foster. So like Foster and Dalton, and I don't know. Is that the name of Sam Elliott's character in Roadhouse? I don't know. That'd be very funny.
You're just going for it. We mentioned I can't remember now. I'm forgetting what we mentioned earlier that would lead me into this, but I am a big sucker for it. I'm sure I must have mentioned this in other movies, but it's like I really do love the like we're in two realms here, which is to say the same space but in different rooms. So I
And
do like.
it's money saving, right?
Oh, of
Because
course, of
yeah, because
course.
they could just use the same house, except they just light it differently, and it's like you're in the shadow alternate mirror flip version of this place, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean obviously more elaborately done because of the set deck, but like Stranger Things with the upside down do this a lot. That's I know that's not the exact same thing because it's supposed to be a different place, but yeah, the ending of this movie where he goes into the further and they're yelling for him to come back and he's outside the house and in the house they can see the thing the ghost coming out him. Very
Mhm.
effective, and also like we were saying, because it's a low budget movie, there are things where you can. It's just it's part of the fun of this movie is like there's that shot, and it's a well done shot because James Wan is, good with the camera and direction of the spinning around of like Patrick Wilson looking at the old woman through like a sort of mirror window,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you can tell literally they're on a bare stage with a frame, and it works really well, and a lot of that stuff is Ty Simpkins and Patrick Wilson in pitch black with a flash or like he lantern, and it works really well, as far as like just creating that mood and that atmosphere.
I see in the Wikipedia page that the actor Joseph Bishara is listed as lipstick face demon. That's the man with a fire in his face in the credits. Is lipstick face demon.
Okay,
Um,
okay. Did
Again,
you
just call him Fagugu or whatever. You know what I mean? Like just name this son of a bitch. Maybe
did
they
you
do
did you
later.
see the post credit scene?
Was there one? No, I didn't even look for
I
one
mean,
because
I'm
I
joking, but
know the MC. I know the MCU exists now, but I figured 2010 was not the time to necessarily automatically look for a post
no, it's
credit moment.
probably
Yeah.
5 seconds, and it's the old woman in the veil, the one who's basically taken over Patrick Wilson, blowing out her candle. That's it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Good, good little horror movie moment at the end there where it's like it's taken a hold of him, kills Elise, as far as I could tell, strangles her to death, and then takes off into the night or still in the house to kill everyone else. I don't know. It's good reveal for a good moment for Rose Byrne, who doesn't have that much to do at the end because she's just sort of like she and the others are like dealing with the ghosts coming in, crossing over into the real world and into the house. I like the arm popping up out of the drawer because the scene sets you up for someone to be popping out of the door frame shadow like
Mm-hmm.
behind him and not like literally from the drawer itself. So that was good. And we haven't mentioned yet Leigh Whannell, obviously starring in a movie he's written with who's this? Angus Sampson as Stephen quotes Specs as they call him and Tucker.
You mean the
Uh,
organic mechanic?
the organic mechanic. And he was also in a season of Fargo and he's been in a bunch of stuff. Anyway,
He was just in They Will Kill You, and I had that thing where I couldn't place him briefly. Like it was killing me because he was so familiar. And then I was like, oh yes.
it was
Instead
it was killing you and they will kill you.
it was killing me and They Will Kill You that I couldn't place this large Australian man. Lee Wanell, who I will say is way better in this than he was in Saw, because I'm sure I mentioned it when we did Saw eons ago, but he gives a very hammy performance in that
Yeah,
movie.
well, look, the role itself too is better
It
suited to
is, it
whatever his
is.
acting
Oh yeah,
capabilities are
yeah.
because he's just he has to be scared and intense in scenes with like ghosts and stuff, but most of the time he just has to sort of bicker with Tucker. Whereas Saw was like from the get go. I don't think there's a moment in Saw where it's not supposed to be frantic and panic and emotional, right?
Hmm, hmm.
Which will stand out if you're not the strongest thespian.
Yes, but I liked him in this. I mean, because while yes, obviously they're comic relief, they're the bantering guys. He also gets some serious moments because he's the one who's kind of explaining what's going to happen here, how it will work with Elise, and how he'll be like talking for her. And yeah, I think I totally buy. Like, in this movie, in no way was I distracted to the point that I wouldn't be like, that guy must be someone involved in the movie. Versus Saw. And by the way, which can lead me to say, what a great weird ass visual of Lynn Shay putting on that gas mask and
oh
sitting
yeah,
at
that's
yeah,
right.
sitting at that table. It's such a wackadoodle thing, and yet you just buy into it as far as like this is how it works, and it's like she's hearing, she can hear into the further, so she's both saying what she's hearing, but she's also just telling Specs. Otherwise,
So Specs seems to have, whereas Tucker's is good with gadgets and like
mhm.
turning things into sort of spectrometers or whatnot. Specs seems to have almost more of a otherworldly connection where he is connected to Elise in a way where she is describing what she's seeing, but it almost feels like he's channeling through her in a way. Like he's telling him what she's saying, but also
Yes.
that great moment in the movie when she's spotted old lipstick butt on the ceiling and she's like whispering. We don't really hear. We hear some of it,
Mm-hmm.
like black legs, black eyes, and stuff like. But like he's getting it, but it doesn't feel like he's getting it like a police sketch artist is getting it. It feels like he's getting it from a different in a different sort of frequency. That he's
Yes.
more channeling her and like what she's seeing. I know he is just taking her descriptions, but it feels like more.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And by the way, don't keep looking too much on Insidious info because you will spoil yourself on stuff. But I do see the official name for the one who's taking over Patrick Wilson, the Bride in Black. Again, the get these descriptive names, and so that's the old woman who got the post credit scene.
So she doesn't even get it. Like it's not like Sheboygan. I know that's a place, but I'm saying like they're not naming
Again, we'll
these. They're
see,
not
Matt.
naming these demos.
We'll see, Matt.
This is this. I'm going to ask you because there's one moment before the kid, before she goes outside, and the song changes to "Tiptoe" and the tulips, and then the little boy's dancing, and then she chases him around the house. He is in like the fucking laundry room, and she walks past, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And then when he starts running around with his cap, I was like, oh, he was standing there. So I'm asking you, is this one of those Haunting of Hill House fucking things where the ghosts are hidden all around?
I wouldn't be
Like if I went
shocked.
back or if I looked at a thing online on YouTube or something, did somebody like, here are the ghosts you didn't see, because I saw him in what point, and it would be weird if it was the only moment where like she casually walked past something.
I bet if I bet there is moments like that. It just seems like the movie because what I was and it leads me into what I was going to say, which is that this movie has great use of curtains as a way to use your spooky scenes. And so there's the first big one is when she goes to see the baby. Well, she hears the creepy Black Christmas type talking on the monitor, goes up there, and then something's behind the curtain. But then it's on one hand, it's very funny because this motherfucking family loves their curtains. And so it's like after that, I'm hyper conscious of curtains and the fact that they have a curtain that separates a room like on a rod, and they have a curtain underneath like the cabinets, like where the little kid jumps out the top, which is like a good like oh nothing's there, but he jumps out above. But that's just like that's a weird thing to have, like a curtain with shoes behind it. But the movie gets a lot of mileage out of it. You mentioned the tiptoes part where she goes outside and behind the curtains she sees something, and so yeah, it's very well done as far as these little creepy moments, figures. It doesn't even have to be like elaborate makeup or even like a jump scare per se. It's just seeing something and something running by or something walking by. And I would bet that there are ones that we just didn't
Well,
even
there's this
notice.
YouTube video called 54 Things You Missed in Insidious. I don't know if it's like all things like that
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes those YouTube videos are like, I didn't miss that at all. He was standing right there. Like it's like it's like sometimes they're just like, and then this guy charged at her. And I'm like, why would you miss that? Anyway.
It is
Um,
funny with horror movies like the first Halloween obviously gets a lot of mileage out of the fact that Michael just being like there's that some classic moments in Halloween where he's like revealed in the shadows and lighting does so much where it's like she's standing in there's a door frame behind her and
yeah,
it's all
yeah.
black and then we said and I don't know if I think this is something I forgot to mention on our Scream 7 episode that there's a couple of direct that's one of Williamson, one of his favorite movies is Halloween. So it's no surprise that in Scream 7, there's a couple moments that pull from Halloween as far as using that type of reveal for Ghostface, who also wears a white mask that can
Yeah.
let that. But it is funny that sometimes I'll either notice myself or it'll be pointed out to me that later Halloween sequels reuse this. I remember one, and even the bad ones. And so I remember just finding out maybe a year ago that Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, like actually, this is not the same exact thing I'm saying, but it does another variation, which is Michael just being in the background, which is sometimes very famous, like by the hedges or just standing by the curtains
Right.
outside. But like Halloween 6 does a like he's in the deep background when two characters are walking through like a park and stuff like that. And so it is fun to be like, oh, they did think about that, even if the filmmaking wasn't good enough to actually make it effective. Like
I
someone did think to do that.
I will absolutely stand on the fact that there aren't 54 things that we missed. But This Reddit thread brings up the kid in the corner, but also apparently there was like a bloody handprint on a window that people missed. Apparently there's a jigsaw nod on a chalkboard. But yeah,
Oh,
anyway.
okay. Again,
But yeah,
I very much assumed that James Wan grabbed my focus, but I had a feeling there was other things on that chalkboard besides James Wan's name underlined.
yeah. Principal of school, John Kramer says is weird.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, Insidious was a good movie. Like, I mean, I didn't watch it in ideal settings, like in a sunny
Mhm.
Sunday afternoon in my house on my TV. But I got the point. I saw where the jump scares would have made people shit themselves with their mouths wide open in theaters. And yeah, I like the sort of ghoulish ending that seems to turn out well for no one except for young Dalton, who now gets to cram his face full of spaghetti and play Swordy Sharky as to his heart's desire.
And they really, it's funny, they really like lay it on thick as far as like, oh, everything's gonna be okay, and they do a freeze frame on Elise and Specs, and it's like, yay, we did it. But let's mention, I just do want to mention a little bit more here, Lynn Shay, who obviously it's not as I'm not mad that because how could you not know that she's in more of these movies, because it became a big talking point that this actress who'd been around for a long time, and in little roles, a couple of them very memorable because the Fairley brothers, and we talked about her, I know, when we did the Elm
I
Street
mean, like
movies.
the big thing that stands out is Kingpin, but yes,
Yes, yes, because interesting career in that she was has she's openly admitted she was a nepo baby, which is to say her brother ran New Line Cinema, Robert Che, which is why she's in Nightmare on Elm Street in a small role. And she would get little roles in New Line movies because of her brother. But then the Fairley Brothers, which is probably why she's in Dumb and Dumber in the first place. But then the Fairley Brothers just like her, so they keep using her in things that aren't
she's
New
like in
Line.
6 of their movies. Yeah.
Yes, and she has funny roles in those movies, but she still wouldn't be a person, especially because she looks so weird in a lot of them. Someone people would always recognize, or they'd be more like, I kind of recognize her. So it's fun that she got this role in the first place. She comes in halfway through, but of course it's a important role. Again, they're using the Poltergeist template, so she
Mhm.
gets the Zelda Rubinstein. Like, here's the person who knows their shit, and it's fun how she comes in. And she comes in very like not hippie-ish, but very just like friendly. Just like, hey, like she's just such a like she's not acting like all creepy unless you think it's creepy that she's very friendly. That she's just like very warm, very like, hey, this is what I'm here to do, but then no nonsense when she needs to be. And she was 66 when she made this movie. But the fact that, yeah, she will make a lot more Insidious movies, and it'll become this sort of touchstone and make her into a sort of horror icon is just kind of a cool thing for her that I'm sure she did not see coming as her career was continuing.
Man, her first husband died at age 24 in 1968. Like, she got married young, but then
Oh,
also
shit.
he died super young. But then she got married again in 88. But anyway, but yeah, she's also, again, she's a Farrelly Brothers player, but not just New Line, but she's in a lot of horror stuff. Like, she's in both Ouija movies, she's in The Grudge, she's in, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
these Insidious films, Two Critters flicks. Yeah,
Well,
so
those were New
there's a
Line,
New
but
Line.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yes, she definitely became. I can't remember if you've seen the Ouija movies. You've not,
No,
right?
no, no. I mean, I'm only interested in the second one for
I
reasons.
know, but one
Yeah.
day we should do both because yeah, they do have a relationship with each other. Besides one being bad, one being good. But yeah, it would be interesting to watch those at some point. But
I
yeah,
would also like to ask, how old is Olivia Cook? There, I asked because I'm like, has Rose Byrne ever been in a movie where she's Olivia Cook's mom? I don't think it quite works unless she's a super 14-year-old bride. But like, as far as like their age difference, but there's a moment when she walks out in from the house into the street in this movie where I'm like, she looks like Olivia Cook.
oh, they do have a similar look, but also yeah, Rose Byrne, who I think would have been about 30 in this movie. So again, it's funny when it's like, what? How old are you? 20? I wish. I'm like, no, I'm 30. I'm decrepit. I should.
Well, I bring up Olivia Cook because of Ouija too.
Yes, yes.
I know she's in that. Anyway,
Hey, we can end where we started because I mentioned Patrick Wilson pulling his gray hair out. Did you ever yank gray hair out of your head, Matt?
no, why would
Nor
I?
I. Nor I. But
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
did do? I
I'm not.
did.
I'm not vain Patrick Wilson. Yeah, but
No,
yes.
I was vain. I did early on because like many people, it's a very one day I'll look up why it is, but you go gray in your beard first for whatever
Oh yeah,
reason.
sure.
So there was a point when I was plucking the grays from my goatee when it was easy enough to get a few, and then it was like, okay, well,
Hmm.
this is a battle I have lost. But yeah, Patrick Wilson, you look great, man. Don't worry about it. And yeah, I bet you'd look good with gray hair. You'd be a silver fox, so it'd all be fine.
And I'm trying to think if I knew him as anything. I mean, he'd done Hard Candy, and then the year before this, he did Watchmen, like which was the big time where it's like, oh my god, like because he was playing Night Owl, and it was sort of like, oh,
Another collaborator there with Snyder.
what else was he in with Snyder?
Now I'm forgetting. I said that and then I immediately forgot what else they've done
What
together.
else did he do with Snyder?
God damn it, something.
Okay, I'll take it. Something. I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't need to go into a
Maybe I'm a
uh
total liar. Why did I think that they did another movie together? Maybe they didn't. I guess they didn't. Never mind. I'm a liar who lies.
I mean, he was part of the Snyder verse with
Yeah,
the
Aquaman, but
Aquaman
that's
movie.
not James Wan would have put him in that movie no matter what. So I'm
Right.
absolutely wrong. What was funny for me, I knew Patrick Wilson. Well, looking at his resume, I would have seen Phantom of the Opera, but not remembered he was in that. I definitely remember him first from Hard Candy, which I saw
Hmm.
for sure. And then he was in, he was one of the leads in Little Children, which I see Ty Simpkins was also in. Um, Probably as a little child. But yes, so those were kind of the things I think that people knew him from. And then Watchmen, of course, being kind of his first big movie going into this. But these were two actors, like I said, it's like Rose Byrne because she'd done a couple movies, but she wasn't a movie star. She was on an FX acclaimed series that wasn't highly viewed. Again, this movie wasn't a micro budget movie, but it's fucking low budget, and that these were two actors you could get for that. And of course, James Wan and Patrick Wilson. It is crazy that they will launch back to back two extremely successful horror franchises. And it's funny that in 2013, James Wan will do both Insidious 2 and Conjuring. Like,
Yeah.
it's like it really, like we said, this is kind of his comeback movie, and then a very good decade for him. It's about to
Yeah,
follow.
it's I'm also like I knew this movie did well, obviously, because off of a $1 million budget, it makes 100 million. It's huge. But like I did not know that the first Conjuring made like 400 million. Like that was a super success. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, there you go. People
there you
love,
go.
hey Eric, is horror back?
Horror
Um,
might be back.
or might be back.
There might be a chance for horror. But yeah, this is a fun movie. It's not like one of my favorite movies, but I do because I didn't see this movie in the theater. I think maybe I watched it before the second one came out at
Mm.
home. But yeah, it does its job well, and I think because they were pretty upfront, like you said at the beginning, like this is what they want to do. They want to go back into horror. The last thing they did, the Kevin, well, I say they, I keep saying they. James Wan did the Kevin Bacon movie was more of an action thing. He'll go on to do Furious and other action stuff, but go back to horror, but try to do a non-R-rated horror. Very much embracing kind of like a classic haunted house scenario. We keep joking about how yes, it makes a perfect haunted house scenario, literally at horror nights, but it really does it well, and I think it is a good horror movie for people who like to it's one of those movies that you're like, oh, this is a good like starter horror movie because it's not like insane, but it's legitimately got some good creepy stuff in it, and it like captures that vibe it's going for.
All right. Up next, Insidious: Chapter 2 is the next
Mm.
one in 2013. So please rejoin us for that convo because I will also have not have seen it, and I will be giving you my fresh hot takes. Okay, Eric, I'm surprised you didn't see Insidious in the theater. I don't see shit all the time, but Eric, that surprises me. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't. I have a very strong memory of seeing The Conjuring in the theater because I saw it like a month after it opened, and I saw it. I was the only person seeing it at a 10 a.m. show on a Sunday at the ArcLight Sherman Oaks. And so when the guy came in to do the intro that they used to do at the ArcLight theaters, we had fun, Matt, because
We had fun.
he was just talking to me.
I miss the ArcLight Sherman Oaks. I don't live there anymore, but I miss
Yeah.
the ArcLight Sherman Oaks,
Mm-hmm.
as you all do. Okay, until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real, and Shakma.
Shukma.